YouTube, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. Why? Because we are the fastest growing podcast on the whole damn planet. That's right. Follow the Money, been downloaded in 50 different countries, all 50 states. We're giving out so many winners. A couple weeks ago, right? 6-1 was our record. Last week, you made a ton of money if you watch this. Brunson, a plus 325 dog, covered in the main event. Also a plus 115, 1.5 over covered in the main event. Joy Odessa, Joy Delicious, Joy Moneybags made us a ton of money last week.
Delicious.
Please let us know what you're thinking. Please let us know what you're thinking. Please ask us some questions. We're going to go over the entire UFC card today. Starting off with, of course, the two best in the world. And one, he is the best gambler on the freaking planet today. He is Steve Stelios Montepes. He is the Philly Godfather. Philly Godfather, how you doing?
Good, man. Just firing all week long. Going to release some baseball games, probably live on the show. And just waiting for Joey to give out, he's been red hot in the UFC. I just want to know what he's thinking about getting down with. And let's make some money.
Speaking of Joy, he is known by a bunch of names. He is Joy Bagels. It is bagel time. He is Joy Odessa. He is Joy Delicious to a certain group of friends. He should be boyfriend in a box. He is the best combat sports handicapper on the planet today. He is Mr. Joy Odessa. Joy, how you doing today?
What's up, guys? What's happening, JBL? Coach, Dave, Matt, PG. I leave anybody out?
No, we're good. Love the energy, Joey. Love the energy.
We got the supermodel Dave Mason on today as well. Don't forget Dave.
We found out last week through somebody sent in that Dave Mason is indeed a supermodel, a male model at least. We're not sure. We've never seen him, but apparently he's a good-looking man. Dave Mason is from Bet Online, one of the best sports books in the world. Dave gives us all the money coverage. Dave, how you doing today?
I'm great, thanks. Thanks for the compliments.
You wearing those skinny jeans down there, Dave? In Costa Rica?
Yeah, no, I'm not too fat for the skinny jeans, man. I bust out of them. I'm the fattest male model on the planet. So
He's the plus size male model.
Yeah, plus size male model. I don't think they have any of those, but they do. It's me.
He has been called the future of sports betting. He is one half of the college kids. When he grew up in the household he grew up, there were high expectations. He is exceeding all of them. He is Matt. Matt, how you doing today?
Doing good. I mean, I'm waiting for the odds for Dave so he can be the next Kim Kardashian's husband.
1,000 to 1, baby.
Well, listen, if you end up the husband, do you run for president, Dave, or no?
I'll just make a play on the younger sister. She's just my end to go to the younger sister. Get some controversy going in that household.
Oh, God.
And hopefully Dave, if he is her husband, won't go as crazy as her current husband. Speaking of crazy, 2 words.
Coach rules, baby.
Jonathan Coachman, you need no introduction because you're that damn good. How you doing, Coach?
We're doing great. I'm juggling 2 sports today. We've got the PGA Championship going on. I'm on fire on my picks for Follow the Money podcast. And also, I watched you guys last week when I was in Nowhere, Utah, watching my son play baseball. And not only was I entertained, but I also realized that without me, this show just doesn't happen. So it's good to be back this week. And you're welcome for me making the time.
We're so happy you're here, Coach. I still can't believe you're in your 40s. It just blows me away. You've not aged well. You've had some problems. Well, let's get started. Are you Joey Odessa? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. We got the first fight today. We got from Mexican fighter Erwin Rivera in a bantamweight match against the debuting, I can't pronounce his last name, from Jordan Ali Kaisi. I hope I say his name right. Who is a dog here. Ali is 8-3, 1-0 on knockouts, 4-1 on submissions. Mr. Rivera is 9-5, 5-2, 1-0 on submissions. So the over/under is at 2.5 rounds. Dave, where's the money?
Yeah, Al-Kizi is 59% of the action is on Ali Al-Kizi. 82% is on the under. Nothing sharp on this one. Like I said, a couple UFC. One guy at one fight in the UFC, Al-Kizi, making his debut. So, it's a small need. It's not too big, but House is going to need Rivera.
And Joy, what do you have a view on this fight?
No, this kid's from where I grew up. This kid's from Newburgh. He's tough, man. He's a scrapper. He got beat in his first bout in the UFC. Came in on really late notice, but this kid, I mean, this kid's game. He was all fight. He was all business. And I mean, if you look up Newburgh, and he's from New Windsor, which is right. I mean, that's Newburgh. If you look it up in the crime index, I mean, it's a bad, bad, bad city. And this kid's just a tough street kid. I guess he's training down here in. I heard he's training with the Burns brothers, Sanford MMA, which is over by the airport here, kind of close to me. You know what? I don't know if this Rivera kid's going to win because I don't know much about Al-Kasi. You know, they say he's tough, and I mean, he looked much bigger than Rivera, but I'm telling you, this Rivera is one tough kid, man. He's just a tough son of a bitch. And if he fights like he did in his first fight and his loss against this kid, I think Rivera beats him. I think, under's probably it's a good shot this fight goes under. I mean, but Rivera's durable. But I'm telling you, this Rivera's a tough kid. Oh, I beg on my face if he goes out there and bitches out, but I don't think there's any quit in this kid at all. Zero.
And did you take the under as well, Joey?
No, I didn't touch the under. I mean, if you put a gun in my head, I would bet Rivera, though. I mean, but again, that's on the blind. I don't know a lot about this Al-Kazi kid. He fought, you know what was weird about it? He didn't fight in any of those Dubai cards, but he's fought in Jordan, he's fought in Bahrain, where else? Saudi Arabia. I mean, he's fought right over there. I don't know why they didn't put him on the card. I don't know if it's a political thing. Maybe, I don't know, because he's from Jordan. So I don't know what the relationship is with Saudi Arabia. Like a history guy would know that, but, Holly's side coach, know everything. What do you think?
Well, no, I do know this, that whenever somebody doesn't make their UFC debut until they're 29 years of age, that's a huge red flag for me. And Rivera, the last time he fought, he was fighting at featherweight, and this will be his more natural weight. And I think when you put somebody in their natural weight, you can't play off of what their results were before. I would lean toward Rivera as well.
There you go.
And Philly Godfather?
Al-Kasi, he's a Kung Fu champion, previous Kung Fu champion. If it goes to the ground, he's got a shot. I just think Rivera's too strong, brings too much pressure. I know Al-Kasi, he's fighting he's got a 5 win streak. He's won 5 in a row. He's got a 2-inch reach advantage as well. But I like Rivera. He took his last fight on short notice, like Joey said. Laying 170 here, I think you're stealing money. This line should be closer to minus 200. I think Rivera's the right sider.
There you go.
And Matt, what do you have?
I didn't bet nothing here. I mean, I know Joey and Philly Godfather both on. They're like Rivera more so. There's not much about Al-Kasi that I know. I mean, I know he's a well-rounded fighter, and he hasn't been knocked out yet. And I know Irwin, he likes to come with some powerful early bombs, some body shots. But if he can last, I think Al-Kasi, if he can last and avoid some of those body shots and early bombs, he can give himself a chance here.
In the second fight, we've got a featherweight matchup. It's pretty much a showcase. It's the biggest odds of the entire night. There's a fight later that's almost equal, but this is the biggest odds, at least right now. Yusuf Zalai, I hope I pronounced his name right, from Morocco, is the huge favorite over Peter Barrett. Peter Barrett is 11-3, 7-1 on KOs, 2-2 on submissions. Yusuf Zalai has never been stopped. He's 2-0 on KOs, TKOs, and 5-0 on submissions. The over-under stands at 2.5. Dave, where do you have the money going here?
This is one of those fights where those odds get so high that the public just starts taking that underdog money. So 72% of the bettors are on Barrett. He's currently, plus 420. Yeah, we opened this minus 300 and it's up to minus 550 now. So,
wow.
So yeah, 72% is on the dog, which is not really, like I said, every week on these kind of fights. That's 9 times out of 10. We need those kind of long. That public is usually on those long dogs, and 80% on the under.
80% on the under.
Yes,
and
sir.
Joey, do you have a leaning either way on this fight? It's obviously a huge favor. Are you touching it at all?
I like under. What Dave say? How much was on that under?
80%'s on the under, 2.5 plus 115 right now.
Yeah, I took under plus a quarter there, so we'll see. I think that Zalai will stop it, but we'll see. The kid is Barrett's a Boston kid, and I don't want to say kind of like a mercy, like that kid that fought on the Contender Tuesday. He's almost like a mercy sign. UFC seems to have a soft spot in their hearts for these guys from Boston. That's just my thoughts. Yeah, I think Zalai will stop him here.
Yeah, let's keep in mind, Barrett's 33 years old. Goes right back to my argument from the first fight. And Zalal has the chance, guys, to become the first fighter in the entire UFC to win 3 times in 2020. I think that's a huge motivating factor, and I think he wants to be impressive to get that 3rd win in this calendar year.
And Philly Godfather, did you have a leaning on anything in this fight?
I like the under 2.5 rounds. I think Zalal's going to crush him. Barrett hasn't fought since 2018. He's 33 years old. He's 10 years older. I can't see this kid winning this fight. Obviously, I missed that opener of minus 300, or else I would have laid it. But minus 500 gets kind of scary. But even at minus 500, I don't think this kid's got a chance in the world. Slippery Pete, as they call him, is in some serious trouble. I think he's going to be stuck in some quicksand here, and he's not going to be able to get out.
I love when you say that.
And Matt, did you have a leaning on this fight?
I didn't have any leaning on this one.
Huge favorite. We have another one coming up. That's another big favorite coming up later in the card. The next fight is a featherweight matchup. We have the Canadian Gavin Tucker, who is the favorite right now, barely. He's 11-1, 4-0 on KOs, TKOs, 5-0. He's never been stopped. 9 fights of the 12, he has stopped his opponents. Against Justin James, who is 16-4, also has never been stopped. 8-0 on KOs, TKOs, 6-0 on submissions. Known for a 41-second KO in his debut against Frank Camacho. Understands at 2.5. Over-under stands at 2.5 rounds. Dave, where do you have money on this?
There's sharp action here on James as well as the public. 62% of the action is on James. Sharp action is on James as well, plus 135 or better. But that number's been crashing. Under is getting bet again. 90% of the bettors are on the under.
And Joey, did you have a lean on this fight as well?
I bet Tucker. Tucker opened like minus 215, minus 220, right, Dave? They opened a little north of minus 200.
We opened them minus 220.
Yeah. I'm not. From the previous shows, I'm not really fond of betting on these Canadian guys. But Justin James came in for last minute on the was it one of those Apex? Anyway, came in on last minute against Camacho, who had been stopped previous times, including I believe right before him. I think Darius stopped him in one or something. Might have been. I don't recall. But anyways, I think he was in there. He smashed Camacho. Everybody's got that win in their head like he's some devastating fighter. He's what? I think I got written down here. He's 16-4, but his his first 19 fights were outside the UFC. And when you get that many wins together and you're not in the UFC yet, it's probably I think that Tucker's going to beat him. I don't want to bash James. I could be really wrong about this kid, but I think he overachieved in his first UFC appearance. I think people are just remembering that, and they think he's going to go out there and smash Tucker, and I just don't see that happening. I think Tucker beats him, and I laid $1.10 on Tucker, $1.12. I waited for it to go all the way down, and we'll see what happens. But I'm
Joey,
on Tucker here.
When did you become so soft? Did Paul Felder make you soft all of a sudden? You're like, I don't want to hurt this guy. I don't want to bash this guy. Just make a pick. Just make a pick and leave it.
No, my bad. I just Tucker. I like Tucker.
There you go.
I'm waiting to smash some of these guys, but there's not a lot of guys on this card that I don't like. There's not a lot of guys on this card that tweet dumb shit. You know what I mean? So
Joey, they're fighters. They know people are going to pick. People are going to pick them. And if you're a fighter, you understand. Sometimes you get picked. Sometimes you don't. As a competitor, that's a game. That's a game.
And that's from what? All your fight experience, Coach. What the hell are you talking about? What are you smoking over there?
Do we need to run down the resume? I mean, come on. But keep going. I don't want people, we got to get through this card. We only got, it's top of the hour is the first fight, and I got a fire right here live on the show. I'm putting the bear in my phone as we go. Come on. We got stuff to do.
If you would shut up, we'd actually get to professional gamblers.
I am giving you great information. Oh, my goodness.
I got Wikipedia. I don't need you. Coach, shut up. Billy Godfather, you got a leading on this fight.
Well, James comes into this fight with some momentum. He's coming off that 41-second knockout. He's got a lot of power in his lead hand. He can hit you with that hook. He can hit you with that jab. He actually wrestled in college, I think somewhere up in Michigan, so he's actually not bad on the floor either. This line is where it should be. I think the fight's a coin flip. It opened up a little too high, but now at a coin flip, I might have to go with Joey here. That recency bias, I think everyone who watched James fight last time is going to be all over him this time, and they might get caught with their pants down.
Yeah.
And Matt, do you have a leaning on this fight?
Yeah, actually, I like Justin James. I mean, I know they're talking about they like Tucker, but I look at it, James. I think I know it's recency bias and everything, but I think throughout his career, he's shown that he belongs at this level. 16-4 record, 5-fight winning streak here. All 4 of his losses have come on the scoring card. I think he's a well-rounded fighter. He has 8 knockouts, 5 submissions, and he's dangerous on both sides on the ground, standing up. And he was the 2-inch reach advantage here. I think this is going to be one of the more enticing fights of like the undercard. These guys are both pretty well-rounded. I'm looking at it and I'm like, I think James has more of that one-punch knockout type of power. I think that power is going to take a toll on Tucker throughout the fight. So I think it's going to be close, but I think James comes out. I like James.
Yeah, and if you guys remember last time out, James got that fight on short notice, so he had to come out swinging because he might not have lasted the whole fight. So he got a little lucky with that, with that dropping him. But this time around, like I said, it's a coin flip. But I'm siding with Joey.
Next fight is a middleweight fight. It's Andrew Sanchez, who's 12-5, who's a slight dog in this, 6-3 on KOs, TKOs, 2-0 on submissions, fighting Wellington third, Brazilian fighter, 16-3. He is 4-0, never been stopped. 4-0 KOs, TKOs, 7-0 on submissions. Sanchez double the strike rate as far as terms. So you got a wrestler versus a boxer, a puncher here. Over-under stands at 2.5. Dave, where you got the money going?
73% is on Sanchez, including some sharp action at plus 140 or better. Once again, that's down. He's now plus 115. Whereas Turman is with a minus 135 favor. So, yeah, 73% of the public's on Sanchez, along with sharp money who bet it earlier at plus 140 or better at Bet Online, and 56% on the under.
And, Joy, do you have a leaning in this fight?
I bet Turman. I bet the Brazilian.
You did bet.
Yeah, I bet the Brazilian, against the kid from Missouri. I think he beats him. I think that what's his name, last bout against Vittori. Vittori's tough, but I think Turman beats Sanchez.
Yeah, I don't like betting on grapplers. I just don't like guys that can't knock people out and that they make it an ugly fight. I don't like putting money on them at all. And that's exactly what Sanchez is. He's a grappler. He has no stand-up. And I would go with Joey because he can end it in a couple of different ways.
And Philly Godfather, do you have a leaning on this fight?
Yeah, Sanchez gets hit just way too much for my liking. His defense is horrible. Whenever you're in doubt, you go with the Brazilian. I like Turman.
And Matt?
I had nothing on this one.
Nothing on this one. So there you have it. And Philly Godfather, did you take Turman on this?
Yeah, I took Turman. Yeah, he's 24 years old. He's a kid. He's in great shape. I can't see him losing to Sanchez here.
Next fight is a southpaw from Afghanistan. I cannot pronounce the last name.
Nazrat Hakrarast.
That's
minus
what it is.
It was minus 180. You'd screw up that name, and we just cashed that ticket.
No, I didn't screw it up, Coach, because I didn't even try.
That's true. It was a draw. It was a draw.
Coach is on fire today. He's throwing fastballs at everybody.
Coach's words hurt. Words hurt. You need to play
Love
that.
that.
I'm from Texas. I don't speak English.
Yeah.
This Afghanistan gentleman who lost about 70 seconds in his last fight was 11-3, 9-1 on KOs, TKOs, 0-1 in submissions, fighting Mr. Alex Munoz, who was undefeated, 6-0, 3 of those fights by stoppage, 2 KO, TKOs, 1 by submission. It's at 2.5. Dave, where do you have the money?
Yeah, Nazrat. I'm not going to even say his last name. About 53% of the action on him, but it's pretty choppy either way. 78% on the under. Nothing sharp at all at Bet Online, at least.
And Joy, did you have anything?
I bet Munoz.
Here, and do you want to try to?
I bet Munoz. I think
you did that because you could pronounce his name.
Yeah, exactly. No, Munoz. Look, this Munoz is in great shape. He's the wrestling coach at Team Alpha Male. I know he wrestled in college. He ended up at Oklahoma State, but did he start it? Let me see here. Yeah, he started out at Pittsburgh, which is an EWL. I think they're a pretty reputable school wrestling-wise. really tough grinders. I think that Munoz, and I think Munoz is live here, real live. He's not necessarily a finisher, but I think that I think Marcin Held laid out a blueprint on how to beat this Nazareth kid. And Munoz is he's a technician. Stand up might not be too good, so coach probably won't like him. But I think Munoz had I took Munoz plus two and a quarter, I think. I don't know, I got it here. But anyways, Munoz is better than a 2-1 underdog. I think it's a solid play. I mean, how can he go wrong? You got a guy who hasn't even lost. You know what I mean? Hasn't lost yet. He is a coach. I mean, he's very technical. I think Munoz can beat this kid.
Joey, I actually liked that pick because obviously the team Alpha Male that he trains with and trains for has some great fighters, but also he's had to wait to get to this fight. So his motivation to show the world, because he's had to wait so long, I think he's going to override what he's going to face across the octagon. I like it.
He's got to just not get hit. I mean, if he get, this Afghanistan kid can punch. But, again, I just think that, he's just got to keep his hands up and close the distance, smaller cage, get a takedown, and just grind it out. A referee can be instrumental in this bout. That's what you got to be careful. I mean, over in Dubai, we saw where the referee would, one referee would stand him up after like 15, 20 seconds. Then another bout, they'd let somebody lay on there for 4.5 minutes. So, I mean, you'll get an indication of that early. And it's tougher now, again, without these crowds, because if somebody's just laying on somebody and the crowd starts booing, the referee's more inclined maybe to stand them up, whereas opposed to, no crowd or anything like that, nobody bitching and screaming, they might just let him lay there for 3 minutes. But I think that I like Munoz here.
And Philly Godfather, do you have a lean on this fight?
Line's kind of high, but I like Nazrat. He's a submission specialist. He throws right around 5.2 5 strikes per minute. He's a much busier fighter, and he's the younger fighter. He's 24 years old. I'll take age over Munoz here. I like Nazrat.
Real quick, Johnny, I have a Twitter question about, and this is dead serious, because something Godfather just said about betting at 300 up to 500, and it said you guys preach money management all the time, and say I'm a $200 better, but I got to bet $1,000 to do it. Should I lower my bet so I'm not betting as much, like go down to $100 so it's only 500? Basically, is what they're asking.
Yeah, I would lower your wager, but I would look to bet the under in that fight, like me and Joey talked about.
Okay.
At minus 500, I mean the price got away from us. It got away from everyone on the show here. So anytime you're laying 5 to 1, even though I do think you're going to win, worst case scenario, if you want to lower your bet size, maybe 25% of your average bet size. If you're betting $200, bet $50 or 25, whatever you feel comfortable with, because there's always an outside chance someone gets lucky, lands a lucky shot, and you lose at minus 500. But like we said, the under's got a great shot, and if you want to lower your bet size, I think you'll be able to cash a ticket.
All right, thanks for the question. Sorry, Johnny, go ahead. Oh, my apologies.
Great. And Matt, do you have thank you very much, because I want to have as much interaction as possible with people that care enough to watch the show. We're glad they do. Matt, do you have a leaning on this fight?
Yeah, I actually do. We nibbled on Muniz plus 213 not too long ago.
Going against the family again.
Yeah, it happens sometime.
Afghanistan fighter. That's good. Afghanistan's close to Greece, right? Closer to Greece than California. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's right next to it, Joey.
Yeah, Joey, right next to it.
Regional bias.
Yeah, we all drink Ouzo. Don't worry about it. We'll be all right.
Yeah. I like Muniz. Like Joey said, he's 6-0 in his career. He has a solid pedigree. He trained with the team Alpha Male. We're looking at this. I think these guys, I know Hakaras has some knockout power. He has, I think, 9 knockout wins, if I'm not mistaken. And he's 11-3. But I don't know. I think Hakaras is going to be looking for a knockout. He's shown he can go the distance if he needs to. But I think Muniz is more of a well-rounded fighter. Like, he can go in the ground and everything. So I think Muniz is going to control the fight and grind out a dull win here. I mean, like I said, I just think the price should be a little bit lower for Muniz, so that's why I like Muniz a lot. I think he'll pull out a win. It's going to be dull, like I said. But I think he's going to pull it out. I also lean over 2.5.
Over 2.5. The next fight is a middleweight fight. Mr. Kevin Holland, who disappointed us last week because his opponent fainted right before the fight, Giles. If he had fainted during the first round, we'd have won money. We had Holland last week. So what a selfish man to faint before the fight. So Holland, we have a 1.5 over under on this. This is the first one that comes in at under. That's not 2.5. Holland is 17-5, 8-0 on KOs, TKOs, 62 on submissions. Fighting Mr. Jaquan Buckley, who is 10-2, 7-1, no submissions, either win or loss in either of those categories. Over under at 1.5. Dave, where do you have money?
The Buckley, 72%. No, 67% of the bettors are on Buckley making his UFC debut. He just fought like 9 days ago too, I think, in another organization. It's a lot smaller. 8-inch reach advantage for Holland, but despite that, the public is on Buckley. And again, that's kind of just what I said earlier in the show. Once you get those favorites and up to that size, the minus 450 on Holland now, people are the public just pounding the dog plus 350. So that's really nothing too out of the ordinary. Can't really read into that too much. Over, this is one of the few bets that are getting bet over, and that's 72% of the action on over 1.5.
And this is, as we mentioned, the big favorite, Youssef Zalah from Morocco, is another minus 4.5, 450 approximately. Along with this one is the other big favorite on the night. Joey, do you have anything on this fight?
No, I mean, I like Holland. I didn't bet it, but I think Holland wins this fight. Longer muscles, a stronger muscle. Buckley reminds me a little bit of, I want to call him a poor man's Paul Daly. Thick body type, you know what I mean? Always throwing, everything's a power shot. I think Holland will beat him. If I had to bet, I think Buckley's durable, so it probably will go over. I took a good long look at that total, that 1.5, and I mean, it looks appealing. I don't know. We'll see how see how these referees are early, and see what kind of see what's going on at fight time. But I would have to bet over if I bet it. But there's no question in my mind. I like Holland here. I think it's
so. Just for people listening, Joey, you're going to watch the fights early. Watch how the referees are refereeing the fight.
I'm just going to try to get a feel for it. Yeah, see if these guys are coming out. I'm not saying momentum because it's not like a venue. It'd be a venue thing if it was in Brazil or something. But just want to see what if your first couple fights go out there and they're really slow, and if the first couple fights finish quickly, maybe and guys have to go in there quicker. You know what I mean? They might be a little more. What's the word I'm looking for? Come on, coach, you're the genius on the
well,
podcast.
I'm gonna completely disagree
Anxiety.
with you anyway.
You know what I mean? They just might have a little more anxiety, maybe a little more uptight, maybe colder.
Right.
Not ready to go in the ring. I just think that Holland beats him, and I think it goes over. There you go.
I think for two reasons that it goes under. I was doing a lot of research on this particular fight because of last week, and there was a couple of interviews that Holland did, and we know his track record, guys, is not great up and down, but now he's refocused, he's motivated. He's pissed about last week not being able to fight. He says he's got this new killer instinct, and he wants to show this kid who fought 9 days ago that he's ready to walk into a buzzsaw. And I think because of that, this goes under and Holland crushes him tonight.
And did you bet the fight and the under, coach?
I'm betting the under, not the fight. It's too high for me. I like to listen to Godfather when it comes to high bets. Whatever he tells me to do, I'll do it. And that's just too high for me, even though I think it crushes him. I'm just not, at my bet size, it's not worth losing $1,600 or $1,200 potentially if he gets caught.
Right. And Philly Godfather, did you have anything on either the total? It's the first one at 1.5 or on the big favorite here against the dog?
Coach brings up a good point about the under. I think Buckley's going to come out swinging because he can punch a little bit, but I think he gets caught. Holland averages 4.29 strikes per minute. He's got 14 stoppages and 17 career wins, and he's got a 8-inch reach advantage, and he's 5 inches taller. So even though you got power, you still got. It's so hard to hit a much bigger opponent, and someone who boxed. The guys I hated boxing the most were the taller guys with the reach who could keep you away with the jab, and every time you try to come in, they'd hit you with that overhand right. So the under, I kind of like it a little bit. I can't see Holland losing this fight at all.
And did you take the under, or are you just kind of leaning that direction?
I haven't bet it yet, but if I do bet it, I'll give it out on Twitter for free.
Hey, I noticed in chat, a guy I know, I recognize the name, a guy from Georgia brings up a really good point. My buddy Dennis said these UFC refs are been letting these guys get killed before they stop the fight. It's true. I mean, they're letting these guys get their heads beat in. I mean, the crowd's not there, and they're just, they're so apprehensive about stopping it that,
Yeah.
It could be the difference between over and under.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could be.
Absolutely.
And
No
Matt,
doubt.
Matt, did you have anything on the fight?
I like Holland, but I'm not laying the price. I mean, we didn't bet anything on this fight, so not really.
And if you have anything on social media, if Matt or Coach or anybody, please let us know as far as comments. Last week we found out that Dave Mason was a supermodel, and which none of us knew. I never seen him. Dave's like the Yeti. Dave's like the Yeti. Nobody's actually seen him. We just heard
That's
rumors
right.
of him.
I don't exist. That's how I like it. Off the grid. Parts unknowns, like some of those wrestlers you used to go do the battle with. Parts unknown. George the Animal steals my neighbor.
That must have been a big town because there are a lot of guys from there.
Yeah, right.
Dave, the next fight is a welterweight. I'm sorry, did you say something, Joey?
I was just gonna say, shout out to Andrew Todd for always coming in the chat saying what's up. He said what's good, fellas, and AZ Wildcats always coming to the stream.
Thank you, guys. Next fight is a welterweight fight. Tim Means, who's been around quite a while, 29-12-1, 42 fights, 19-2 as far as KO TKOs, 5-5 on submissions. Fighting Laureano Staropoli at 9-2, 5-1 record on KOs TKOs, 2-0 on submissions. The over/under is once again back at 2.5. And Dave, where do you have the money going on this?
The bettors are on Means, the Dirty Bird. Tim Means been around forever, like you said. He's had a good career, but I think he's close to the end, maybe 2-4 in his last 6. Been getting cracked here and there. But still, bettors early. The bettors are on Means, and the under as well. 77% of the bettors on the under.
And was that the public, David? That was David. That was
Yeah, nothing sharp. Nothing sharp with us, at least.
And Joey, do you have something on this fight?
You know, I'd want to bet Tim Means, but Jesus, I mean, I'll call a spade a spade. I mean, he's looked shot. He really has. I mean, his last fight, he looked horrible against Daniel Rodriguez. He beat Diego Alves, but who doesn't beat Diego Alves at this point? And Nico Price stretched him. I think it's a tough spot. I mean, a year ago, 2 years, well, you know what? You take out the last fight, and I probably, after the Alves fight, I probably still think Tim Means beats him, but, beats Staropoli, however you say it. Means a tough guy to like. He's going to come out swinging. He's tough, in the beginning. If you put a gun in my head, I'd probably bet Means. I mean, he's 29-12. He's been around forever. Maybe I got a soft spot in there for him somewhere, but I don't know. I'm not sold on the Argentinian kid. I think that Means beats him.
And Philly Godfather, do you have something on this fight?
The Argentinian kid came in 3.5 pounds overweight, but Means came in 1.5 pounds overweight as well. So both guys came in overweight. Both guys I don't think they got much in the gas tank. Gun to my head, I'll take the experience over the Argentinian kid. Give me Means.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting plus money on the coin flip. I'll bet Means here. I don't know. I kind of like the over a little bit, to tell you the truth. Both guys being a little tentative if they're both not in tip-top shape. If they're not confident in their conditioning level, they might lay off a little bit, pump the brakes maybe in the first or second round a little bit. But we'll see what happens.
And Matt, did you have something on this fight?
Yeah, I'm with them on this one. I like Means. I think, coin flip, you're getting plus money, plus 125 around. I mean, I think Means, he owes the experience. He has the 4-inch almost reach advantage. A bit taller, same thing, leg reach advantage. It's not my favorite move, but I do like Means here. I think he ends up winning this one.
And Coach rules?
It's going to be boring as hell. It's going to be like what we saw in the Contender Series on Tuesday night with 2 out-of-team fighters just lean on each other. I love the over in this fight. Love the over 2.5.
And you bet the over, right, Coach?
Yep.
And the next fight is a lightweight fight. A southpaw from Iran. I hope we get his first name right. Benil Dariush. Fighting you is the favorite here at 18-4-1. He's 4-3 on KOs, TKOs, 8-1 on submissions. Fighting the dog here, which is Scott Holtzman, who's 14-3, 5-0 on KOs, 2-0 on submissions. He's never been stopped. The over/under stands at 2.5. Dave, where do you have the money on this?
Yeah, Dariush. The public's betting Dariush 61%. As of now, he's our biggest liability. 75% is on the under. But yeah, Dariush, man, he's looked. He looked great early on. Then he kind of hit a wall when people thought he was a contender, and then but he's looked good again. I think he's on a 4-fight win streak now, so public's on Dariush.
And Joy, do you have a leaning on this fight?
I bet Dariush. I laid $1.81 on him.
Great price.
Yeah, I bet him early. And you know what? It was lower than that at one point, wasn't it?
We opened once. We opened $1.60. So yeah.
Yeah. I thought.
It got hit. It got hit right away, but still, that's what we opened. You know.
When I saw because when I saw the 180 or the 181 rather, I was like, You know, I was contemplating. I'm like, was this going to go back down? Because Holtzman's got some steam behind him. 14-3. He's not a bad fighter, but I think that Dariush. Yeah, I think Dariush will beat him. Holtzman's never been stopped. But you know something about Nick Lenz beat Holtzman, and when I look at that, just kind of a red flag. And you know what? Holtzman's wins over Miller and that Dong Ma. I mean, again, you know, I don't want to bash Jim Miller. I think he won his last fight, but this guy, you know, Miller's a little long in the tooth, and Lenz is not a world beater, and Lenz beat Holtzman. I think that Dariush will be ready for this fight. I guess he's training up at TriStar, if I'm not mistaken. I like Dariush.
Yeah.
I look at this guy just like Derek Brunson last week. This is a guy, Dariush, who started, did all right up and down, and fell out of the top 15. Then he got his act together. And right now, he has been blitzing guys, 3 straight finishes, and I think he's finally got the right fight camp. He's doing the right things. And I think he's a different fighter than the fighter people saw a couple of years ago. I think he blitzes Holtzman today. I think that's the right call.
Emotional maturity. A lot of these guys develop.
And Philly Gunfather, are you on? I'm sorry, go ahead, Joy.
No, I'm saying a lot of these guys, emotional maturity, you probably deal with it in the WWE, where new guys come in and over time, they'll just, you know, in the beginning, they're all gung-ho and they're all over the place. And, you know, I think that you settle in and find your spot, and then, you know, emotional maturity. I think it's a huge thing. I think it's
and that was something that JBL was never able to wrap his head around, was emotional maturity. Still hasn't, to be honest. Anyway,
the emotional part of which was the emotional part or the maturity part?
Let's go both.
I'll take the over on both. Philly Godfather, do you like the Iranian southpaw as well?
Well, he came in 2 pounds overweight. He's got to give Holtzman 20% of his purse. So I think he's going to be a little pissed off about that. And Holtzman's a busy fighter. He averages, 4.52 strikes per round. But the Iranian should get the job done. He's going to be a little upset, like I said, giving away some of that money. Yeah, I mean, at minus 200, it's a little high for me. But gun to my head, I would lay the 2-1 on him.
And Matt, do you have a leaning on this fight as well?
I don't have nothing on this fight. I just want to say shout out to Jerry D. He said, "What's up?" We have B Balance in the chat saying he's a first-time listener, but he won't be missing another show. He's saying it's great, guys. Suckle my bits. He said, "Let's go, Joey." But Neil's my big one of the night. We have Adolsta, Joey's guys, talking about Darius is better everywhere, not just durable. And we have Jerry D saying we're on a tear. Donald Sox out here showing support. He's saying my biggest regret in life is not finding these guys sooner. We appreciate everything you guys are saying. Appreciate the support. I just want to check you guys out.
I don't think it's any secret. I'm back this week.
You see, Coach, that's how you compliment people.
I knew it was coming.
You're welcome.
Coach just couldn't sit there. He had to just jump out there and take the credit for the show. Coach has been in Wall. He's been hanging out with all those.
You're welcome.
All those golf.
You're welcome.
Coach is hanging out with Tiger Woods and shit. Come slumming with us. It's all about Coach, right?
Hey, the PGA of America loves us. They love you guys. PGA
They
Tour
love you.
loves you guys.
They love Coach. Just ask him.
Coach rules.
Coach rules. The Copernicus was wrong. The universe revolves around Jonathan Coachman.
It does.
It's too easy. You guys are giving me softballs.
Minus 2,500. It's all about Coachman.
I'd lay that. I'm laying that.
Free money.
Okay, enough about Coach. What do you think about Coach?
All right. We don't even put that out there on social media. We know it's going to come back to that.
The next fight is a ladies' fight. It's a bantamweight matchup, and I can't pronounce either name. I can't even try. The Yana Kunitskaya and
What was that? That didn't sound right. Oh boy. That didn't sound right.
I will not say it again. I promise you that.
Kunitskaya.
Oh my
Stolarenko.
12-5. She's 12-5. She's 7-2 on KOs, TKOs, 1-2 on submissions, and she's fighting another woman. Okay, let's just say that Julia something. She's 9-4-1, 0-2 on KOs, TKOs, 8-0 on submissions. So her 9 wins, 8 of them come by submission. And bantamweight fight over/under stands at 2.5. Dave, where do you have the fight?
Money's chopped 50-50. We really don't have much of a need on either one. Total actually is also about 50-50. There is some sharp coin on Stoliarenko at plus 175. She's now plus 145.
And how do you pronounce the other name, Dave?
Yana.
Well played.
Good
Well
answer.
played.
Good answer.
Yana K.
Yana K, that's right. Joy, do you have Yana K or do you have the other person in the bantamweight fight?
I made 2 plays on this fight. I bet Julia. I bet the dog, and I took plus 190 with the dog, and I bet the under. I think that this girl, if she doesn't get smashed, she's going to sub this chick. This Yana's going to get tapped. Just my opinion. I backed it up. I took plus 190, and I went under there, which is rare for a women's fight. I took under 2.5 plus 165. I think that she will. I think that she's going to sub her, man. I'll tell you how this one ends. I think she's going to armbar or some sort of a armbar transition to a choke or a triangle. I think she's going to armbar. I think she's going to end up on her back maybe early. Might not look good, but I think over the course of this fight, she's going to catch her and tap her.
Joy, real quick, Coach. I'm sorry, Coach. Would you take a bet here, just the under, or would you bet the fight stop by submission within the distance? Would you actually go that far?
No, don't corner yourself. I preach, man. Don't corner yourself in with an exact method of victory. I've seen so many of these bad beats where a guy will verbally submit, and then it goes in the record book as a TKO, or the referee will stop it. Referee's got a lot of say in the matter as to whether it's a TKO or some sort of a verbal submission and things like that. Tapping the strikes. Nobody wants to tap the strikes, but if they let out a couple wheezes or something like, just don't back yourself in with an exact method. I've seen it happen so many times where a guy, 2 strikers will be going at it, and one will be totally gassed, and the other one will end up choking him out, and it ends in submission at like 22-1. Those are your lottery ticket type things, like what you don't expect to happens. But no, I just say under. You're going to bet it, dog and under.
Great stuff. Coach, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, really, 2 quick things. To his point, last week we saw with the girls when she was on her back, and all of a sudden they're tapping and she was on her back and got her to tap, and it looked like it was going to be a knockout from the other girl. But I think in this, any article I've read on Kuniskaya, Chris Cyborg's name is in the article. And I think a lot of times when they're setting odds, they look at people that they fought. That was UFC 222. That was so long ago. And she's not the fighter that she was when she stepped in on short notice, by the way. And Julia has turned her career around. And she's won 5 straight fights, but yet she's still the plus money. To me, this is a steal. So if you bet the under, I think that's just padding your money, because to me, Julia is going to be dominant in this fight.
And Philly Godfather, do you agree with that, with Joy and with Coach Roll?
Yeah, I like the dog here. I think she's the stronger fighter. Kuniskaya on the ground, she's nothing special. And if she gets her on the ground, Stoliarenko gets her on the ground, she's going to definitely make her tap out. And at that price, how can you not take the dog with everything we talked about?
Yeah, here, personally, I didn't take Stoliarenko, Julia. I just felt like her opponents lacked some wins and experience. I just wasn't sold on her. I know she's real powerful, she's aggressive, and she's hard as nails. Just her competition, I'm not sold on. So I didn't bet nothing here. I just threw away.
Next fight is a middleweight fight. Maki Pitolo against Darren Stewart. Pitolo is the dog here. Stewart favorite. Stewart is 11-5, 7-0. KOs, TKOs, 0-2 on submissions. Pitolo is 13-5, 7-2 on KOs, TKOs, 3-2 on submissions. The over stands at 2.5. Pretty much even odds on both sides. Dave, where do you got the money on this?
Yeah, we got some sharp action on the Hawaiian coconut bombs. Maki Pitolo plus 150 or better. A little bit more action on public action too on him. 56% of the action is on Pitolo and 72% is on the under.
And Joey, do you have a leaning on this fight?
No, but this Stewart, he laid an egg against Fabinski and Cage Warriors in March, pretty recent. Just late, I mean, he got taken down. He just got grinded out for 3 rounds. He was like a 4-1 favorite. So he's either going to come back here. This Patolo kid. I think Patolo's going to come out swinging. He was a former welterweight. He fought a couple fights at 185. He's won at 185. He's done really well. I'm not sure. I think one time he wanted to. I off the top of my head, I didn't bet this fight. If that's what you're asking, but this Patolo, I think he's better at 185 than he ever was at 170. And Stewart, I mean, look, he looked horrible in that Cage Warriors fight in March. He was from hunger. I couldn't bet Stewart with coach's money.
Me either.
What is coach's money doing?
He's doing exactly what everybody else's money's doing. And the only way I bet this fight is if we win every other fight on the card and we're playing with house money when we get to it. That's it.
It's not house money, Coach. Once you win it, it's your money, but they're holding it. That concept.
I know that, but sometimes I like to put a little taste. If I'm up a lot and I win 8 in a row, it's okay to put a little taste on. Just a little taste. Doesn't have to be a full bet. It's a little taste.
And if you put a taste on, Coach, which side are you putting on?
Oh, Patolo. Stewart looked horrible in his last fight. Now, they both beat Bird, but I don't think the mutual opponent matters right now. To me, it's about how you looked. Yes, exactly. So I'm going Patolo also.
Thank you. And Philly Godfather, are you going with coconut bombs as well?
Yeah, I like Hawaiian Punch here. Hawaiian Punch. He won me money last time out. I'm going to bet him again as a dog. Stewart's basically a 500 fighter in the UFC with only 2 stoppages and 9 fights. He throws I think he lands right about 2.92 strikes per round. And the Hawaiian kid's an upcoming star. I like him a lot, man. I think he wins this fight. I think he wins it easily, to tell you the truth.
We have a question here from LMB. He said, any way we can get the guys full card at the end of the stream? And I just want to say, yes, we usually do go through at the end of the stream what everyone liked and their leans or whatever they bet on. So just pay attention near the end of the stream.
Cool.
And yeah, we're going to go through the entire card here in a minute, right before the main event. Go over everybody's leanings. Matt, my screen froze up on me. Did you have a leaning?
No, I didn't have nothing here. Nothing really.
Next fight is a UFC veteran, Chris Weidman, who's lost 5 of his last 6 fights after starting off 13-0 in the UFC. Has 2 wins over Anderson Silva. Well, Chris Weidman is 6-5 as far as KOs, TKOs, 4 fighting Omari Akhmedov, 7-2 KOs, TKOs, 5-2 in submissions. There's been no finish in his last 8 fights, though. Over understands at 2.5. Dave, where do you have the money?
Yeah, it's pretty split. 52% of the action is on Weidman. Sharps are also on Weidman, despite 1-5 in his last 6, like you mentioned. But Sharps hit it at about -110.
And Joy, did you have a leaning on this?
I think that this Omari Akhmedov is going to be Weidman. I mean, how could you like money and bet Weidman? I mean, look. Weidman, he stretched Silva. Silva was beating him, then Silva did the bop around. He got himself knocked out. Silva was long in the tooth when they fought then. I mean, look, great people. I don't want to alienate those guys like Paul Felder. I think more of Weidman than Paul Felder, obviously. But how could you bet Weidman? Weidman beat Kelvin Gastelum, who lost his last 3 fights. He beat a guy that's on an 0-3 skid. When you look back, and Weidman's won what? That's the only fight Weidman's won since 2015. Since Coach was 30
since he lost his belt, he's just lost everything except for
He's lost 5 of his last.
Rockhold ruined him. Luke Rockhold ruined Chris Weidman. I hate, I don't want to say, it's just now he might as well just make some money. He's lost the quality guys, but Luke Rockhold ruined him. I think that Omari, even though he might be a smaller guy, because he fought at 170 a bit. I think he's going to beat him. I mean, Omari's 20-4, man, and he's been fighting. Look, let me just pull him up here. Omari is no chump, man. Omari is tough. I mean, he hasn't lost since almost as long as Chris Weidman's won. What else can I say?
Go ahead, Coach.
Well, I was going to say the last time that Chris Weidman looked good, I was 37, just like 4 years ago. But when
You're not in your 40s, Coach. There is no way you're in your 40s. You were born
100%
in the
I am.
1940s.
100% I am. But you remember when Chris Weidman started winning, and all of a sudden he started being on King of Queens, all these different shows, because he started feeling himself. And when you start going down the wrong path as a fighter, there's very, very difficult for you to come back. I think the only reason the odds are where it's at is because Vegas believes that Weidman coming back to his natural weight of 185 instead of fighting at 205, which he tried a couple of times, that he's going to somehow regain this magic. I don't think it's going to happen. And to me, this is a steal at this number right now.
Philly Godfather?
Yeah, I like the dog. Weidman, I think in this fight he's way overpriced. I mean, what did he get? Knocked out in 100 seconds last time out. He's been getting knocked out. He might get knocked out again here. But yeah, I like the dog. I'll take the plus $1.25 on the dog here, Ahmed Dave.
And Matt?
Yeah, I love Amari Akhmedov here. I mean, I've been waiting to see how high this line gets. I just can't see Weidman or Weidman winning here. He's in really bad form. He's lost 5 of his last 6. And in those 5 losses, I think he's been knocked down in all of those 5 losses. So I just don't see it, man. I'm looking at that one here.
Let me recap for the people that missed some of the show, or at least want to take notes at home, what we got so before we go to the main event. In the first fight of the night, we've got Joey and the Philly Godfather, Alex Erwin Riviera, the Mexican fighter, fighting against debuting Jordanian fighter. 82% of the public was on the under. Second fight, featherweight matchup, 80% of the public was on the under. 72% was on Peter Barrett, one of the biggest favorites of the night. The under was liked here by Joey and the Philly Godfather. Next fight was Gavin Tucker. Joey liked Gavin Tucker here. 90% was on the under. Some sharp money, though, went on Justin James, and Matt, the college kids, did like Justin James. The next fight, middleweight fight, Sanchez, 73% of the money, public money and sharp money, was on Sanchez. However, Joey and the Philly Godfather took the Brazilian Turman. The next fight, the Afghanistanian Southpaw, who I can't dare pronounce, 53% of the money is on the Afghan. Philly Godfather likes the Afghan fighter. 78% of the money is on the under. We have a split here between the two and between the family. Joey Odessa likes Munoz, and Matt also likes Munoz. Next fight, middleweight fight, Kevin Holland, after not getting to fight last week. Coach loves the under here. 70% of the public money, 72% rather, is with the over. Philly Godfather also likes the under, and 72% of the public money is on Buckley as well. Tim Means is in the welterweight fight next. He is the dog here. Public is on Tim Means. Has been around a long time, a lot of fights. The Philly Godfather likes the over here. Joey and Matt also like Tim Means. 77% of the money as far as the public is on the under. Next fight, the Iranian Southpaw Dariush, Joey, Coach, and the Philly Godfather all like the Iranian Southpaw. 75% of the public money is on the under. Next fight, Yana Kay. Joey has called an arm bar for the under. Sharp money is on Julia Sterling. I can't pronounce her name. 70% of the money.
You might want to freeze up right now.
Not on Yana Kay. How about that?
Yana Kay, freeze it up. Act like it's frozen.
That's right. Sharp money and Joey is on Julia here. The next fight, Coconut Bombs. Maki Pitolo, Philly Godfather leans that way. Sharp money leans that way. Public money leans that way.
Bet the Hawaiian. Bet the Hawaiian.
That's Hawaiian Punch. 72% of the public is on the under. Next fight, Mr. Chris Weidman. Money has gone with Chris Weidman. The entire crew, Joey, Coach, PGF, Philly Godfather, and Matt, is on Akhmedov. Public money, not sharp money, is split on this as far as the bet itself. So that brings us to the main event. The main event is Derek Lewis, who is 23-7. He is a 2-1 favorite right now. This is the only heavyweight fight on the card. finding Olenek, who has had 59 wins, 59, 13-1, 46 wins by submission, 46-2 as far as the submission count. His fights 8-7. He also has a victory over Verdum recently, 8-7 on KOs, TKOs. Derek Lewis, 23-7, 18-4 on TKOs. He has 10 KOs, most in heavyweight division history, tied with Velasquez. The over-under is one of the few fights on the card that stands at 1.5. Dave, where do you have the money on the main event?
Both Sharp and Public on Olenek. Sharps took it at plus 200. Once again, he's plus 176 right now, so they got a good price there. 60% of the action is on him as well. 64% is on over 1.5.
Joey, do you have a leaning here?
I bet Lewis minus $1.88. Shout out to William Hill. They put up, get this, Dave. Will Hill put up Olenek by submission plus 2,000.
What?
The silence is deafening, right? Plus 2,000. It was there for like 2 days, and they didn't move it. And then
hell!
I made a tweet about it, but I didn't say the operator. But that was William Hill. And then the next thing you know, it's plus 250 by submission. But the most probable, if Olenek wins, you would think the most probable outcome would be submission.
It ain't gonna be it ain't gonna be KO. Either some grind out ugly thing or a sub. He can sub, man. But
it was clearly, it wasn't in sync with the market at all, and they left it there, and it just goes to show they don't hire. It's like that plus 5 goals. How can somebody sit there? Anybody with a brain could just, when the money comes, just look and say, Jesus, something's not right here. Maybe know that the guy's got 46 submissions. It might not be, it might be a good idea to double check that number. But
2-3 days. That's the crazy part. You know as well as I do in this business that sometimes bad numbers get hung. You know what I mean? It's just those guys are just putting on that data all day. It takes a fat thumb. But 2 days and oh my God.
And how many bets later? Are you kidding me? How do you not spot that? How does it?
Especially 20 to 1. It doesn't take a whole lot of 10, 20, $100 bets to get a big red figure there that someone's got to be like, holy hell, what's going on here?
It's craziness. How can you not? Tap the coffee, boy. Double check your numbers against the market. I'm not saying the market's not always right, but for Christ's sake, 20 to 1 and plus 250 everywhere else. Hello.
Dave, what's the price on the total on the rounds?
1.5. Let's see what is.
Is it juiced a little bit or not?
Yeah, it's gonna be juiced. I was just looking at our props right now when Joey said that, so I took my screen off.
I'm trying to give you a hint, Dave. Wink, wink. Come on.
Yeah, right. Over. No, it's a coin flip. Minus 115 each side. So
that's it. Wow, it seems kind of cheap. Don't you think it's kind of cheap, Joe? On the total? Don't you think it's kind of cheap on the total?
Yeah, Jesus. My worry is that Lewis gets laid on for 5 rounds. That would just be ugly. It'd be ugly to watch. It'd be ugly for me because I bet Lewis. But, you can't put, that Verdum fight. Verdum doesn't have any stand-up. He had stand-up against Cain Velasquez because they were fighting at, ridiculous altitude. Cain didn't train for it. And, in Olenek gas in the second round, it's tough. Total's tough. These 1.5s. I jumped, again, over 1.5, under 2.5. I don't know. These bouts, they're tough, especially with the referee having so much say and how much longer they'll let him go. Lewis could be bashing his brains in on top, and, the referee might let it go an extra 20, 30 seconds, which will make a difference.
Well, and guys, on these heavyweights that it can be really ugly or really, really fast. I think Derek Lewis, more than any other heavyweight except for maybe the guy we've seen, he had one of the most spectacular knockouts with 3 seconds to go in a fight 4 or 5 fights ago. And I think now that he weighs a lot less, I know you look at all the analytics, Joey and Godfather, and the numbers. I like to look at motivation a lot. And Derek Lewis has a lot of motivation tonight to be good. He's weighing a lot less, and he's going to be a lot more active. I love him tonight, and I wouldn't touch the over-under. I just don't. With heavyweights, you never know. You never know.
Yeah.
Billy Godfather, you were saying that the price looked cheap. Which side are you leaning for the total?
He does have 18 knockouts. He can punch the beast, Lewis. I like the over 1.5. You got a crafty veteran in there, Alnick. I think he's going to be able to survive for at least 1.5 rounds.
He, Lewis is one of those KO guys, and we know the stats, but he's been involved in some ugly 3-round slop before. I mean, with Francis Ngannou, everybody couldn't wait for that fight.
Yeah.
And that was one of the worst fights of, what was that, probably 2018. I mean, his last 5 wins, they all went to the third round. I mean, the decision, KO in the third round, decision, TKO in the third round. So,
and he averages about 2.5 strikes per round. It's not like he's throwing a lot of heat.
Yeah, so he's a slow plotter going for that one-punch knockout. I'm sure when he lands it, it's lights out. But, percentage-wise, that's not a very effective strategy. But I kind of like that over, too, now that you think that, now we're talking about it.
Over 1.5, under 2.5. It might land. They could.
I like the over 1.5.
I mean, I wouldn't bet that way, but
I think Lennox, he's a vet. We all know he's been in the game for a while. I think he's gonna last. I mean, like Dave said, last 5 fights. Look at the recent fights. I think he had 2 decision wins against 2 grapplers, kind of that similar to Lennox style. So I do like the over 1.5 here. I think Lennox gonna last a little bit.
Well, guys, thank you very much. That is the top of the hour, and that is the show. That is the entire card. You've got it now. Enjoy the fights tonight, Philly Godfather. You've got some baseball, basketball. Anything you want to give out as an extra bonus to people out there listening? Not to put you on the spot here, but got a pick for people out there and something you like tonight?
I'm going against the red hot Colorado Rockies. I like the Mariners today. The public's all over the Rockies, but that's not why I like it. If you can get down, if you want to nibble a little bit on Seattle, I think you cash a ticket.
And Matt, do you have anything you want to throw out there just for the betting public?
We like the Twins a little bit. Don't want to give out too much information, but yeah, we like the Twins and just what we went over in the UFC card.
Super. Well, guys, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Joy Odessa, Joy Bagels. It's bagel time for Dave Mason at Bet Online, the Philly Godfather, best sports bettor in the world. Future of sports betting, Matt of the college kids, and my good friend, longtime buddy, and he says he's 40-something years old. I want to see a birth certificate.
Coach. That's fine.
You're welcome.
As good as ever.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. I love you, Coach.
Rules.
I'm firing. Let's go.
You guys enjoy the show tonight. Enjoy the fights. Enjoy the games. Have a great time. Thanks for watching Follow the Money.
I love that stuff.